Yeah, welcome to the Making of Me podcast, where we explore the stories, experience, and defining moments that shape who we have become. Our today's guest is Carilyn Marrero, a financial freedom strategist and entrepreneur who went from living paycheck to paycheck to building lasting wealth after immigration to the United States. Through her Multedo Libre framework, she now helps working professionals escape debt, invest confidently, and build generation wealth. It's really a pleasure having you on the show, Carilyn.
Thank you.
Yeah. What were some of the moments or challenges that shape you into who you have become today?
The moment that jumped my financial freedom, I lost everything in a hurricane back home in Puerto Rico. That process, it was 2017. The nightmare that I lived on those months, it wasn't sustainable, not for me, not even for my community. And at that time, PTSD of everything that happened, it was like, I need to go. Like, I can't be here anymore. But at the same time, it was telling me, I'm going to leave, but I can't waste any more time. I need to like go, buy a house, get a car, get financially stable, and move from there. And once I moved to Orlando, I came with three luggages, my 6-year old and my boyfriend at the time. Now it's my husband. We've been together for 11 years and started from scratch. And once I got my first job, I just noticed that it wasn't sustainable.
Mm,
Working for a living, it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't a good work life balance. There was a lot of stress involved, a lot of responsibilities,
yeah.
and the job itself owned you. We hired you and you need to work 50 to 60 to 70 hours a week. And we're going to pay you what we think, you are worth. And that didn't sit well with me as, I was a well prepared manager. I had a bachelor's in hospitality. I had a good record. And I saw that it didn't matter. It didn't matter your preparation. It didn't matter your background. It mattered what the company had budgeted for your position.
Mm,
Very simple. And after 5 years in the workforce in that particular job, I said, I can't do this anymore. I want to make more money in order for me to have
yeah.
a better quality of life. And in that process, that's when I encounter that you can't make more money if you don't know how to manage it.
Mm,
And once I made 25% more income, I felt the same. Stressed, frustrated, no work life
yeah.
balance, couldn't be able to be there for my daughters, for my family. And that's where I decided, okay, something's got to give. Like, I literally Googled how to stop working. And that's when I encountered the movement FIRE, Financial Independence Retire Early, of a bunch of different corporate, I will call them, it was people that were working in corporate, didn't agree with how corporate was working, and silently start preparing for their exits. And they were making 100, 200K a year, but living as they had 20 or 30,000 a year. The rest, they would putting it in stocks, and then they only worked 5 years and then retired millionaires. Why? Because they
Mm,
put that money in stocks. Now they were younger than myself. Once I started reading about them, I was like, I think I can make this like my own Caribbean way. Because, I had children, I had responsibilities. I just couldn't live of 30,000 in this particular age. 2026, the fire movement started on 2006, so and so. I'm not
yeah.
sure exactly the date, but it was around that age where inflation wasn't so high, where salaries were more competitive. Therefore, that's where the Método Libre came about, the freedom method, because that framework that I used allowed me to become financially independent in less than 3 years. And when I use the word financial independence, means I didn't need a job anymore to sustain my lifestyle. How did I do that? Well, first, I saw my numbers, and I had a very uncomfortable conversation with myself in regards of, okay, how bad do you want to stop working? How bad? If you really want this so bad, then there's changes that have to be made. There's habits that need to be changed. There's structure that need to be in place. And you need to do this as a project for yourself. like when you have a diet and you're like, you want to lose weight and then off you went. And then 2 months later, I'm like, forget about the diet. I feel content and happy in my weight. That same process was what I did into getting financially independent. The difference was every day I thought how bad I wanted to stop wearing my compression socks, how bad I wanted to stop wearing my back brace, how bad I wanted my rosacea to go away because all this was always red because of stress. Every single day, it was one day closer to my freedom. That's what I kept saying because it was so uncomfortable. It was so frustrating because you want things immediately. On this 2026, you get deliveries to your door with whatever you want. So the process of going into I would say against the current was hard at the beginning because it was new habits, like the routine of taking the girls to the movies. Every Friday we went to the movies, and all of a sudden I said, no more movies. We're going to do
Yeah.
movies at home. We're going to, get the best popcorn, and that money we're going to invest in order for us to have a better quality of life. And I could be a present mom. I could be a mom that takes them to school, picks them up with no rush, no stress. I can able to have a fresh cooked meal because
Yeah.
I am no longer rushing. And how bad did I want that? And that was the process where I was like, okay, I want this and I'm going to do everything in my power to get it. And, my plan was 5 years into reaching financial independence, but it got cut in short because in that process, side hustle that I had taking care of pets grew into becoming a pet hotel. And that's where the financial independence came faster. But you have to be creative. You have to think, what are your priorities? Sometimes we leave our life and our future into our boss's hands. We're going to get
Yeah.
a new promotion. I'm going to get a raise. But the reality is that life is 100 years, tops. 15 years of that, you're in school, you're prepping yourself. Then 5 more years, you're in college. And after that, you will be, living life independently from 20 to 100. So now we have 80 years. Do you really want to live those 80 years working? And no one talks about you can't take back your time. Your time is your biggest asset. Yet we allow, a job to charge $10 the hour, $15 the hour when we have qualities that we can exploit, and generate income, but we don't have that mindset shift. We have to have that mindset shift. I know it's risky. I know that it's scary, but either I do this or I'm going to be stuck here for the next 30, 40 years. And that's what inspired me into, doing everything I do right now and how I teach my clients on doing it professionally and in a slim process where you just follow those steps and then we prepare your exit route, because all this is private. You don't have to tell your boss, oh yeah, by the way, I am doing all this to stop working for you and doing my own thing. No, that's private. Once you're ready, then we discuss, okay, I think you're making the decent amount on the side. I think it's time for you to go if you want, because there are a lot of people that enjoy what they do and they enjoy working. Now, the difference is now you will have choices.
Yeah. You have option.
If your boss, has you up to here, you can say, F you. You know what? I'm out, because you can. You have enough money saved and you have money in your stocks account that you can live off it and maybe work part-time or use your mind in that time to create something different like I did. I really wanted to help the working class escape the 9 to 5. How do I teach them? And that's where I said, okay, now that I have free time because I have this other job, I don't have to have all these responsibilities for $40,000 or $50,000 a year. And that's where I said, I'm going to follow my passion and I'm going to teach finance. And I know it's like anybody that thinks finance is like the most boring thing in the world, but without that knowledge, you won't able to move forward. Because if you don't know how to manage your income, you're going to be stuck.
Yeah.
Living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. Thank you so much, Carilyn. Yeah, this is really amazing, big that within 5, 6 years old, you're already more like gaining your own freedom. And it's really amazing. I think this is the amazing part of getting to start working, being that when you already have the foresight that in 3, 4, 5 years' time, I'll be able to kind of be financially free and being able to do anything that I love, choose who I work for and choose where I work. And that's much like that optionality. It's really lovely being that it gives you a whole lot of, yeah, it's actually more like energetic being that you can actually go into anything, not feel guilty of what if I lose everything suddenly? What if I'm sacked today? What if I'd yeah, it's really amazing. So you actually created the multi-door lever framework. Can you walk us through what that framework is and how help people redefine their financial life?
The freedom method is what I call my framework, and it's the steps that I follow into my own financial independence. How did I do it? Now, a lot of people have different ways on doing their own framework. Like Dave Ramsey has 7 steps. There are other processes of coaching that guide you into financial independence in different steps. I tried to do it as simply as possible, but at the same time, keeping you hooked, keeping you motivated,
Yeah.
keeping you wanting to move forward. How do I do that? Well, my 5 steps involve preparing your budget, skimming your budget. And when I mean skimming, is like we're going to have a conversation and say, do you really need 7 subscriptions? Like how can we work with the budget that you have into maximizing it,
Yeah.
that you're content, that you're happy, but at the same time, there's something left over in order to eliminate debt and start working on your investing. And the investment part is more teaching than anything else because I do not manage your stocks portfolio. I am a counselor. I go and I say, okay, this is the website. We're going to create your account here. You are going to deposit $5 and we're going to start teaching you how to manage your own account and clarify all the questions because for any person that never has invested, it's scary. You don't know. Anything that you don't know scares you.
Yeah.
Now, once I start showing you how the stocks account work and how you can generate 20, 30% income by yourself, that's when you start getting more certain and more secure and like,
Yeah.
wow, this can really work. Now, what I've seen from my clients is now they have creative, active thinking on, okay, maybe I can, skip the coffee this week and put 10, 15, $20 more on my stocks account so I can grow faster. And the faster you grow, the quicker you can leave your 9 to 5. So it keeps them motivated in that process of eliminate debt, start investing, and at the long run, start developing your own. What passions you? What do you love the most? To start generating a side hustle from that in 2 or 3 years can become a serious business. But this is the difference. When it's something that you do with your heart and your passion, it doesn't feel like working. It's excitement. There's energy, and that energy pushes you forward faster than a wave instead of working for someone else and making another person's dreams. Why not your own?
Yeah. Amazing. It's really lovely, especially with the framework we make reference of. The fact that you're actually more like our guide investing. And I think it's lovely most times of being that it's a baby step method, being that yeah, you actually more like put them through it. Yeah, put in your $5, see what the outcomes look like. And as the step going on, it becomes so intriguing and like you want to save every dollars you have instead of buying coffee and every other stuff, being that you have seen the outcome of it and you already see what is possible. And that's really amazing, being that yeah, investing first time is yeah, it's very very more like somehow fearful, a whole lot of emotions attached to it if you have not invested
Yeah.
before. But starting more like with a little baby step, really speak a whole lot of volume. So debt
Yes.
can actually feel overwhelming for many families. What is the practical and healthy way for someone to start eliminating debt strategically?
The first thing they need to do is stop putting emotions into their debt. They need to see it as a math problem and stop feeling, the word is ashamed about that debt. Once you see your numbers, how I'm going to tackle this? how am I going to eliminate it quicker? One thing that I do with my clients is I negotiate the debt with their debtors. I speak to them and ask, you have a 20% interest on a credit card. Can you lower the interest for the next 6 months? And we designed a plan into eliminating that debt in the next year and a half. Now, here's the thing. A lot of companies out there, they tell you, we are a debt relief program. We're going to eliminate your debt. And it's not real. I wanted to do a process that would be organic, where you eliminate your debt and get your credit score into 800 without false information, false ads, scams, and I would call it cheating the system. They tell you they're going to eliminate the debt, but in reality, what they're doing is calling your credit score companies and pausing those bad debt into investigation for 90 days. It goes away from 90 days. You see it on your credit report as gone. You pay them, and 90 days later, they come back. Yeah. And when I saw that, I'm like, no, you need to teach them how an instructor at the gym teaches you how to do push-ups, and they teach you how to use the machines, and then you go by yourself and you do it. Well, I wanted to do the same thing. And my advice to anyone that is in debt and wants to get out of debt is that's the only thing you need. You need to want to get out of debt. Once you do that, you need to roll your sleeves, see your numbers. Yeah. And once you see your numbers, you're okay, I need to create a budget and send always extra money than what you owe. A lot of people think my payment is $300 a month. That's what I need to send. No, you can send whatever you want. The minimum is $300, but the quicker you send more, the more money you save on interest. And unfortunately, many of the society are tied and drowning in debt because yes, I can pay it. Yes, I can pay it. And then they keep making decisions that will put them more in deep. And that's where their credit score gets affected. And that's where they start struggling with financial stress because of the decisions they made. But the first step is acknowledging that there's a problem and how can we fix that? Math problem, not feeling scared or feel uncomfortable with the decisions they made in the past, because those decisions, you can't do anything about them. That is the past. Today's the present. How can we fix it for the future, in your future? How would you like to, wake up in 3 years from now, debt-free in Thailand, having a 2-week vacation, spending only $500 because Thailand is cheap as hell, and knowing that you're no longer where you were, but now your mindset knows better. And when they tell you, we'll finance that car for you, you could say, no, thank you. I can pay it cash. Save on the interest. And when you're analyzing a offer, you have more critical thinking. When they offer you an offer, you're seeing the interest rates and you're seeing the payment plan, and you're going to see how much are you going to pay at the end, and then make smarter decisions with your finance.
Yeah, amazing. This really very robust, especially the fact that you take them through the journey, and the feelings and everything is included. They get to see how everything gets to change owing to their consistency, and it's really lovely and a very lovely way of actually clearing debts and building generation wealth. Yeah, it's really amazing. Also, you actually speak about building generation wealth. What does that actually look like for everyday family?
The everyday family are not even aware of what generational wealth is. And it's very easy to do. It's very easy to do. And, if you go back in time, Rockefellers, the owners of Chase, the owners of Wells Fargo, all these people built generational wealth. And that's why they keep having money for their years. And in our perspective, it's like, we're poor. We don't do that. And the reality is that, we are abundant and we have the opportunity to reach as much income as we want. But the limiting beliefs that we have, stop us into learning more and into getting the financial literacy that we so much need. Because don't you think that in school they don't teach financial literacy
Yeah.
purposely? They do. They want us poor. They want us to be middle class, lower middle class, because the more they teach us, the more tools we have. Now, if they do not teach us, then the gap keeps spreading. Multimillionaires, billionaires, and now we have even trillionaires. Yet, the majority of the people are middle class. So, how can we do that? The first thing is you need to invest in financial literacy for you and for your partner. If you have a husband, a wife, it's a team effort. You can't go by yourself and say, I'm going to learn this. Why? Because when tough decisions come about, like let's say I want a new car, the new Tesla came in and I want the new Tesla, those are conversations you need to have.
Yeah.
And what do you want more, the Tesla, or do you want to be able to have a better quality of life and stop working? That is a difference. Once they're both in the same boat, then generational wealth comes from opening UTMA accounts for your children. So each children has their own retirement account. And that retirement account is with, you can open it with $1. And instead of in Christmas spending $500 in toys that you're going to throw away by May, you can buy them simple toys, maybe $50 in toys, and the other $450, you put it on their stocks account. And while they're growing, compound interest is going to do it for you. Therefore, when I started investing, and this is a personal example, and I found out that there were children accounts, I opened accounts for both of my girls. And one of them was 11 at the time. The other one was 5. And right now, with my consistent plan, one has $12,000. The other one has $2,000. Imagine the opportunities that those girls are going to have when they reach 30 years old. Because that UTMA account can transfer to a Roth IRA when they turn 18. And after 5 years, you can start doing withdrawals with no penalty. Therefore, my girls will not struggle like I did when I was 19.
Yeah.
With my first car, with my first job, and all that stress of I need to work, I need to start, because they will have a financial cushion. Now, that part of generational wealth comes because all the money that I put into my stocks accounts, once I passed away, goes through them and to their kids. Therefore, you have a little money-making machine. I call them my little soldiers, inspired by Warren Buffett. He always said that you needed to see your dollars like soldiers. And this example is very good for our listeners in regards of income. You make $1,000 a month. From those $1,000 a month, you pay everything, and whatever's left over, it's your blow up money, because that's how normal people see it. It's like, oh, well, I have $300 in my account to blow up, and then now I can go and get a Burger King and a McDonald's, and they blow it up. And what I always tell my clients is, those $300, you can choose. You can put those 300 soldiers to work for you, and each one is going to produce you 20% more, or you can give it away to McDonald's for them to produce the 20%. So either you give your soldiers away or you put them to work. That's your decision. And when you see that mind shift change, you're like, holy crap, I need to be a little bit more stubborn into my financial decisions and not be like, oh yeah, of course, let's keep on wasting, because life is only one. And in a blink of an eye, 20 years go by. And in a blink of an eye, you have 30,000 in debt, 50,000 in debt because of that. Oh yeah. Once you pay off your debt, you learn how hard it was to pay it off. And now you don't want to be there anymore. Why would I put myself in that position ever again? And that is the good news. Once you take that into consideration and say, I am not going to put myself in that position ever again, that is when that mindset shift helps you move forward in life.
Yeah, thank you so much, Carilyn. Yeah, this is really amazing. A very robust way of actually more like going all out. Especially when you just put out the number. I'm like, Which a whole lot, already $12,000, $2,000. I'm like, oh, that was really a whole lot. Being that when they get to grow up, they cannot choose who they choose to work for. Being that they already have a financial quotient that could actually more like, yeah, put them in a very nice way while they are deciding who should I work for and at what rate should I work for. Being that now they have an extra savings. It's really amazing and very robust way of actually more like, yeah, doing life altogether other than chasing every dollar every now and then. Yeah, amazing. So, Caroline, for my audience who would love to reach out to you and who would love to, yeah, jump into this particular coaching sections and grab everything available and to connect with you, how can they reach out to you and where's the best platform?
Of course, they can reach out to me through my website, cmfreedomfinance.com. And there I can schedule an appointment with them for free and we can see if they're a good fit. Not everybody would be a good fit. My rates are very accessible. There's 3 different offers. I have a online course that you can do on your own with the entire framework in it. There's also a mastermind that you can join and we have weekly coaching sessions. And if you're just starting and you want to try it out and you don't know a lot and you just want to just take 1 or 2 coaching sessions with me, that option is also opened. But I encourage them that if they really want to do a change on their lives, to reach out to me at cmfreedomfinance.com. They can also WhatsApp me. My number is 786-218-1615. And I can start giving them some tips. I'm also on, YouTube and social media in Spanish and English. So whenever they need me, they can find me, Coach Carilyn.
Yeah, thank you so much, Coach Caroline. This has really been an amazing section, and definitely the link to your website is going to be on the show notes for my audience to reach out. Yeah, thank you. You just remind us that financial freedom is not about anymore. It's about building the right system, understanding how money truly works, and making intentional decisions that create long-term security and legacy. Yeah, this has really been amazing, and it's really a pleasure and honor have you on the show, Coach Caroline.
Okay, thank you. You be blessed.
Yeah, thank you so much. And definitely I'm going to look into it. And yeah, because the way you're making representation, I'm already thinking, which I think my sons and daughters, once I start giving birth, I'm definitely going to kind of put this into place. And yeah, it's really a lovely way of actually more like doing a whole lot of stuff rather than chasing dollars every now and then. Yeah, it's really amazing.
Yeah,
And thank you so much for sharing.
you're welcome. Be blessed.